And sometimes you're playing that guy and a parent or a fan doesn't understand why you're playing that guy when my son can beat him in a game of one-on-one. And I'm like, that's great. If we break out and have a one-on-one tournament here, I'll put your son out there.
Hey, welcome back to Significant Recruiting. I'm Coach Matt Rogers, and today I'm joined by a longtime friend and one of the most respected voices in small college basketball, Coach Chris Bunch, head men's basketball coach at Webster University. Chris has been building a strong, competitive, and character-driven program at Webster for over 2 decades. In this episode, we talk about what he looks for in a recruit, how families can stand out in all the noise, and the biggest misconceptions athletes have about Division III basketball. Whether you're just starting the recruiting journey or trying to close out the process with purpose, this conversation is packed with wisdom from a coach who truly gets it. And don't forget, if you're looking for guidance, tools, or coaching to help navigate the college recruiting process, please visit CoachMattRogers.com. You'll find both of my books, Significant Recruiting and the Softball Recruits Journal. You'll find details about the Significant Recruiting Launchpad course series, and you can even schedule a free one-on-one recruiting or coaching strategy session with me. All right, let's jump into it. Here's the second part of my conversation with Coach Chris Bunch. All right, Coach, I want to jump right into kind of what you're teaching your staff on what to look for, what to say to recruits.
Absolutely. I had 2 new guys this year, and they wanted when we first high school season's rolling around, we're going to start recruiting. I said, I want you to understand one thing. If you go watch a kid and he gets teed up, if he's all over the refs and gets teed up or thrown out of the game, if he's yelling back at his coach in a timeout or walking off the floor, the coach says something to him and he yells at his coach, or he's yelling, he's calling his teammates idiots out there on the floor or whatever. If a guy yanks his jersey off and throws it up in the crowd and flips the crowd off walking out of the gym as he's going out, I said, if you hear him yelling at somebody up in the crowd, any of these things, if you see any of those things, I don't care how good he is. I said, get up and walk away, because we can find somebody else that will be maybe as good as him that won't do those things that we won't have to deal with. And I said, I've done it before when I've had visits and somebody's mother would try and ask me a question and the kid would go, oh, mom, shut up. And I'm just like, man, it's like I start thinking about my exit strategy as soon as that happens, because I'm like, if you'll say that to your mother, you'll say that to anybody. And so it's the kids don't understand. My assistant, he's big. He's always talked about it. Body language, mannerisms, speak volume. They say that 90%, 80 to 90% of communication is nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
If I have to deal with somebody that's rolling their eyes every time I say something, that when I say, hey, we're going to try this today, and 2 guys go, it erodes everything for everyone. And I said, look for body language. Communication is huge. Are they communicating not just with their coach, with their teammates, with the officials, people in the stands? I watched a kid this year when their team was finished. He walked through the bleachers and was picking up the trash, not the trash that his team had left, the trash that everybody had left, and was throwing it away as they left. And I said, you don't see people do that all the time. That says something right there about a kid. So that's the first thing we're looking at. And the other thing that I think is, how do you handle everybody's great when everything's going? Man, I'm the happiest, nicest guy in the world when everything's going well. How are you when things aren't going well? Because newsflash, it's been my experience over 37 years of coaching that things go wrong more than things go right in a basketball game.
Yes.
You make all these plans, and then 2 minutes in the game, you're down 10-0, and you've made 4 turnovers, and it's going south.
That's right.
How are you going to respond to that? Because there are 38 more minutes to go. Are we going to say, let's regroup? Let's get going. Okay, we're down. Here we go. Or are we just going to lose our minds? I think that is a huge thing. And I think it's a thing that, even as much as I hear people talk about it all the time, I still think it is something that parents and recruits need to hear, because that is such a huge turnoff, that body language communication piece to it. It doesn't matter if you can dunk. It doesn't matter if you can shoot the three. It doesn't matter if you're a great ball handling whiz. This other piece to it is so important to the everyday aspect of what you're doing. I tell my guys all the time, the reason I do this, I love people. I'm in it for the kids. And I am in it for the kids. But why do I do it? Part of why I do it is this last year, especially, but for the last several years, it's been this way. I get up, I walk out the door, I go in there, and that's 2 hours that day that I get to enjoy some guys and us all together doing what we do. And so I'm looking for people that can come into that realm and keep that the way I like it to be. Everybody always talks about culture, but it's like, how are people going to fit in? Because if you're not going to fit in, you're going to upset every single thing that we're trying to do here. And so we're looking for people that we think will be great fits for how we like to do things. We're going to play hard. We're going to practice hard. We're going to compete. You get some guys in a rebound drill. Every now and then it gets a little spicy, and that's okay, because in a game it's going to get spicy sometimes. Yeah. But at the end of the day, everybody's on the same team. We're all pulling in the same direction. We're all working for the same goal. I'm looking for guys that will fit into that, more than maybe anything else that I'm looking for. Obviously, you're looking for skills. Right. I need a shooter. I'm going to go look at a shooter. I need a guy who can rebound. I'm going to go look at guys that can rebound. But beyond that's what I'm looking for.
Well, I want to put some context to this, because I think what makes you such a great leader is your ability to take the diversity of what you've had on your roster, where maybe the average person doesn't see how those parts fit together. I think of your 2005 team, the difference in personalities. You had some kids that were so shy and so soft-spoken, and then you had some big personalities and get me the ball. There's 2 seconds left. But the way they all fit together and the way they cared about each other. Yeah. So the context part of this is, I want parents to understand this about you and about all coaches. When we're recruiting, we're also thinking about the stages of that young man or that young woman's development. Absolutely. How long is it going to take me to get them to where they can be a contributor? Then contributor, how do we get them to be a major role player? Does that kid have the ability to be a kid that can carry us for 7 or 8 minutes in a game?
Yes.
And those are all stages that we go through. And if we're watching a kid in the first 2 minutes, we're going, they're fighting their teammates, they're fighting their coach, they're lazy, they're not working hard, I'm already seeing a lack of effort. All of a sudden, that growth that we're envisioning in our mind, we're seeing that growth happen slower and slower as we look out 4 years, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And go, why would I do that to myself?
Yes.
We're not recruiting what we see. We're not recruiting black and white. We're recruiting the potential of what that kid is showing us in their character, their attitude, their effort, their energy, right?
And all of that unseen stuff, I think people that are not in the team sport realm, they just go get the 5 best players.
That's right.
You look at the USA Olympic team, the 5 most talented, most decorated, most lauded players were not on the floor together a lot of the time. You look out there in the games that were tough, LeBron's out there or Kevin Durant, whatever, and not that Derek White's not a great player, because he is, but Derek White or Drew Holiday's out there with him. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute, where's Steph Curry? Right. And it's because I had to learn that a long time ago, is your 5 most talented players is rarely your best combination. My dad used to tell me when I was younger, he'd say, brother, you got too many cooks in the kitchen. And I used to laugh and say, there's a lot of truth to that. There's one basketball. And so it's got to work where everybody works together. And so I've learned over time that it takes a lot of different pieces. And sometimes you're playing that guy, and a parent or a fan doesn't understand why you're playing that guy when my son can beat him in a game of one-on-one. And I'm like, that's great. If we break out and have a one-on-one tournament here, I'll put your son out there. But that's not what we're doing here.
Yes.
And I've said that to our guys a lot in our skill. We talk at the end of the year, and I've said, if you're going, you need to go. You want to be better next year, go play basketball. Find some games out there. Find some old guys playing. Find some college guys playing. Go play basketball, because you can do you can put the basketballs in the trash bags and dribble and do all the stuff on social media and all that stuff. You can get in a gym and shoot 4 hours on the gun a day, which is not wrong, which is not terrible. If you want to be good at playing basketball, when they throw the ball up, there's going to be 5 dudes out there on each team, and you have to be able to manipulate playing basketball. And so all the skill work in the world doesn't help you if you don't play basketball. And so I think sometimes that's the aspect that goes unnoticed, is how did those pieces fit together?
That's right.
And sometimes I think, because you're just in there every day with them and you see how it starts shaping up and how things start, how it's going. Rarely are your 5 best players your best combination.
I told this to a parent the other day. They asked me a similar question. I said, when's the last time you drove down the road and you saw an outdoor basketball hoop and you saw a game being played? Or you saw a pickup game? People just there to play basketball. I can't remember the last time I saw a pickup game. Or just a kid in the garage on the driveway shooting a basket. That's how I grew up. I know that's how you grew up. Wherever there was a game, man, I was there. Blacktop, roof, no roof, rain, it didn't matter. 100 degrees, we played. And that's how we got better. So it's great. Absolutely great advice. Let's say perfect world, you've done your recruitment for the next year's class and you've narrowed it down. You've found all those kids that have that character, the work ethic you like. Let's say it's all there. You need a point guard. What are 1 or 2 of those things about a point guard that you're going to offer that just gets you giggly, gets you happy, makes you feel like that's a kid we got to have? That makes my program better.
I'm old school. Okay. I still watch. If you ask me what kind of basketball I watch, YouTube. My wife says YouTube has been the bane of my existence because I can get on there and find anything. She comes in and she'll go, really? I'll be watching the 1974 NBA All-Star game. Those were the guys that I idolized. Kareem and Dave Cowens and JoJo White and,
George Gervin.
George Gervin. Yeah. Dr. J's.
Dr. J.
I watch that stuff. I watch a 82 Lakers 76ers championship game. And I think everybody should do that because they just think, these guys in the last 20 years, that's only people that never saw Larry Bird play have no concept of how hard that guy was. I see podcasts of guys sitting around talking about that. Guys say, man, we thought Larry couldn't play either. So I watch those kinds of things. And so I grew up in a world where the point guard was the facilitator, the quarterback on the floor, the coach on the floor, all of that. The game has changed, and you have to be able to score some. But I still look for that guy that can, and I've talked to our guys about this a lot. Hey, be able to get, when we give up 6 points in a row, get us in, and me or Coach Bradfish yells some set from the sideline or some action. Can you get us, do you know which side of the floor to go to get us the guy that needs to be shooting this next shot? Because, man, we just gave up 6 or 8 in a row. We need our best player taking a good shot this next trip. Are you going to, hey, look, we're going to run this play, but, man, the shooter is over there. Don't run this play and we get the worst shooter on the team open for a shot. Run it to the other side where we get the best shooter on the team coming off the screen for that shot. Right. And so when I talk to our point guards in our practices, it's like you have to be able to see that. If you can't see that, it's going to hold us back. We're not going to be as good as we could be. Ryan Turk was one of the best guards I ever had at that. And he wasn't quick. He wasn't explosive. But I always said, you could put cones and things out there. That dude might have to back you up and cross over and go back and forth. And he might have to take 10 dribbles, but he'd get to where he needed to go for you to run what you needed to run. When we had him and Darren Hoggett, for example, he could get over to Darren Hoggett's side of the floor, even if you were trying to keep him from getting over to that side of the floor. And I said, you have to be able to see the bigger picture and see what we're trying to do. Those kinds of things. I think the whole said in times, and I had my sophomore point guard this year. I'd say, look, Joe, you're going to be out there and you're going to be the youngest guy on the floor. I don't care about that. If somebody's in the wrong spot, you got to tell them they're in the wrong spot and get them in the right spot in 2 seconds. And you can't be like, I really don't feel like that because he's older than me. No, you've got to take that kind of leadership.
That's right.
And so I look for those things probably more in a point guard than anything else.
Because if you're not doing this, you ain't the point guard. Because if you're not directing, if you're afraid to lead older guys, you are not the point guard. You are just a guard handling the ball.
I went to watch a high school game this year, and I wasn't even watching this team. I'm watching the other team, and they had a freshman point guard and a whole team full of juniors and seniors. And man, he was running that show. And I was like, that is impressive. That kid is 14 or 15 years old.
Yep.
And man, he is the guy in charge, and they all know it. And they're not, he's not the only one that thinks that.
Yep.
They understand that. And I said, that's impressive, especially in high school, that you can have that kind of situation, because it's very difficult for a young person to have that kind of, be willing to take charge like that.
And I would assume that freshman point guard is on a list somewhere in your office.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, see, and again, you didn't hear Coach Bunch talk about how many points he scored, if the team won or lost, how the game played itself out. He was looking for a skill set and an environment of control and the ability to diagnose and make the team better and think big picture. So love it. All right, shooting guard. And I know the world has changed with shooting guards. I know we have 7-footers for the Knicks that are shooting guards now, that are 260 pounds and shooting 11 threes a game. But I'm talking about that kid that can run off of screens, that can guard a two. What are you looking for in that shooter?
They have to have confidence. And I've had assistants tell me that I probably kill confidence sometimes, because before this past year, the 3 previous years, we were one of the worst 25 3-point shooting teams in the country. And I would put the guy in that is a shooter, and the first shot he took would hit the side of the backboard. And I'm like, that does not instill confidence in me. Hey, you don't have to make it, but man, I need you to do something besides hit the side of the backboard with the first shot you take. And so they'll say, Coach, it's hard. I'm like, hey, look, I ain't saying I yell at him because he missed. I'm yelling at him because he wasn't even in the same zip code. And so it's a very difficult skill. And I've told our guys that before. I say, hey, look, guys, I was a shooter in college. The only time I played in college, I played with 2 guys that were superior basketball players. And when somebody played us a zone when I was a sophomore, he'd yell down the bench, Chris, get in there. It was like I was supposed to go in there and put up shots and make shots. There's pressure in that. I understand that. Now, I don't want you to go in there at the first touch, you shoot a 27-footer and you ain't even ran down the floor yet. But after a trip or two, you know what you're in there for. Yeah. There has to be a confidence level. I missed 2 or 3 shots in a row, and I still think I can make the next one. And sometimes that gets you in trouble. That got me in trouble. I remember one guy laughed one time in college. I shot us clean out of a game. We were down 9, and he said, Chris, get in there. And I went 0 for 5 with 2 air balls, and we were down 19 when I came out. He was like, you didn't have it today. But the next game, I didn't go, oh, gosh, I'm not going to shoot because I'm afraid I'm going to fail.
That's the difference.
You have to feel like he's got me in here because I'm giving him a good chance to make shots and help us win this game.
My job's to shoot the ball. If I stop shooting the ball, why is he keeping me on the floor?
Exactly.
Right?
And I've even talked to some of my kids in the program that are good shooters. I'm like, you want to play more? Then you better branch out and be able to do some other stuff. If you are just a shooter, when I put you in the game, then if you're not making shots, then I have to take you out of the game because somebody else does the other stuff better. So you better be able to do some other stuff along with that. But confidence is such a thing. And the confidence is built in the gym on your own. Josh Johnson, who played for me and was a senior in 2020, he was Conference Player of the Year. Probably the best shooter I ever had. And he scored 30 one night on somebody. And I came in the next day, and the baseball coach is sitting in my office. And he goes, I stayed here because I wanted to see you come in. And I said, why? He goes, because I want to show you the Facebook post I just posted. Now, our baseball team is like top notch. They're like in the top 20 every year. He sent it to his guys. a picture of Josh at 6:30 that morning with the gun set up, shooting on the gun the next morning, the night after he scored 30 or 32. And he goes, boys, let me tell you something. This is what commitment looks like right here. And he goes, you want to know what commitment looks like? This is it right here. And he goes, I sent that to my whole team. And you have to, if you've done the work, then you will have the confidence that, yes, I'll make this shot.
Love it.
But a shooter's got to have confidence.
Remind me when we're done. I've got a 2027 to, now that you're saying all this, I've got a 2027 shooting guard I need you to look at.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Talk about confidence. It's through the roof with this kid. All right. Let's talk about your wings. What are you looking for? For me, it was always the athlete. I got my shooter. I got my point guard. I want a kid that can maybe do a little bit of everything, but it's got to be an athlete. Is that what you're looking for in a wing? Or are you looking for something else?
Yes, I think it's been so hard in this league to get good big people.
Yeah.
Carl, the guy I just mentioned that was the leading shot blocker and rebounder in school history, he was barely 6'4".
Yeah.
He was strong as a bull, but he was a good leaper and all that, but he wasn't tall. And we were always the biggest team in the league when you were coaching. I always had a bunch of big guys.
Right.
At some point, it turned on me. And a coach one time said to me, Chris, I really like how you switched your philosophy and went from being big to being quick and athletic. And I said, hey, I didn't make that choice. That choice got made for me. I'd go back to being big tomorrow if I could. So I've always gotten a lot of mileage in the last 10, 15 years out of 6'3", 6'4" guys that could guard smaller than them if they had to, that could guard bigger than them if they had to. And whether you're playing man or whether we're playing 2-3 zone, I say this to kids all the time too. If you want the best chance to play, don't be a one-trick pony. Don't be a guy that can, I just play the wing on the zone. Because maybe in a game I might need somebody to play the top or, God forbid, the base of the zone. Can you do that? I might leave you out there and put somebody else in and just say, hey, play the base 2 trips till we can get to the 2-minute mark or whatever. And so I look for guys that are versatile, defensively especially. Can they rebound? Do they have some versatility to them? That makes you so much more well-rounded. We play 4-out, 1-in motion, and I tell our guys all the time, don't know the 1, don't know the 5. Know what it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
If we're running an action, if we're running a special set or something, coach, I only know the spot from the 4. You probably aren't going to get to play if I don't need a 4. And so it's, hey, coach, I can run the 5 if you need me to. It's like, good, run it this time. And just those kids play more. Because in a game, I don't always go, okay, let me see now. I want to run this play, and who do I have in there? I've got 5 seconds to, some guy gets his 4th foul. I've got 5 seconds to grab somebody and sling them out there. And then you go to run a set and go, oh God, we need a 4-man or we need a 2 or whatever. Can you go, hey coach, no, I got it. And just jump in that spot. If you can, you're going to play more.
That's right.
And so, especially with the wings, we're looking for that. We're looking for versatility. Can you play smaller? Can you play bigger? Can you rebound? Can you handle the ball a little bit if you have to? If somebody's pressing us, Greenville University, can you make a shot? Can you drive a little bit? The more of that stuff those guys can do, the better chance they have of playing, the better chance we have of being good.
Yeah. And don't think for a second, coach is talking from just a D3 perspective. This is everywhere. If you're a wing and you're versatile and you can rebound and you can guard and you can shoot a little bit and you can put the ball on the floor, there's a place for you everywhere.
Yep.
All right, coach, bigs. And I know that is a really tough thing to throw at you because there's all sorts of different types of bigs, especially now because there's a lot of 4s that are shooters, that a lot of bigs don't play the back to the basket anymore. What are you looking for? What gets you excited about a 4-5?
I tell any post player that we're recruiting, because even the ones that can't shoot a lick think they're a stretch 4. They'll tell you, coach, I'm a 3, you're a stretch 4. It's, no, you're not, but okay, I'll work with that for now. But there are guys that can shoot it. It's like, and so I tell every big guy I'm recruiting, I don't care what you do offensively. And they look at me, and sometimes their parents look at me funny, and I'll say, I need guys that can rebound. I need guys that can defend other big guys. I need guys that are mobile. I need guys that will run the floor. Can you do all that? If you're a 40% 3-point shooter, we'll put you out there somewhere in a position where you can shoot some threes. If you can't, and all you can do is shoot layups, you might be in the dunker spot on the baseline or on in the post. But it's I make all our big guys in practice do post moves. Sometimes I have wings. I'll have my guards. I've got a guard. My returning all conference player is 6'1" or 6'2", and he's been the second leading rebounder on our team for all 3 years he's played. And I've seen a couple of coaches have left their scouting reports, or somebody left a scouting report laying around the locker room, and they call him the power forward, and he's like our two guard. But he gets more rebounds than anybody, and he's the best offensive rebounder on the team and all of that stuff. I sometimes send Jamar down with the posts to work on post moves. Because I'm like, you're going to be the guy getting the ball around the basket. You got to be able to up and under some guy and finish with the left hand.
That's right.
More so than some of these bigger guys. And so we do a lot of that. Sometimes we'll go through a practice and I'll have the guards do all the post moves. We're going to shoot jump hooks. We're going to shoot dribble hooks. We're going to shoot drop steps. And I have everybody do that because I think it is a lost art a little bit.
I agree.
But I tell all of our big guys, I have to be able, when we go play bigger teams and bigger teams non-conference, I have to have guys that can rebound and get us out of possessions defensively. I have to have guys that can guard. If somebody has a 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guy inside that can score, you have to be able to turn him away from the way he wants to turn and make him finish with some other move besides what he wants to do. And can you do that? Don't worry about the offensive part. We'll figure it out. If you shoot three, you can shoot threes. If you can't, you'll do something else. You'll set ball screens, whatever. I don't care what you do offensively. I care what you do defensively in that regard.
I love it.
And if I always tell guys, can you shoot it? I'll figure it out. In practice, I'll see it every day. If you can shoot 40 from three, I'll let you shoot some threes. If you shoot 15 from three, newsflash, you ain't going to be shooting any threes. So
obviously the gun's out at 6:30 in the morning. So you want to get that percentage up. There's a time and a place for you.
Yeah.
One piece of advice for families going through the recruiting process. They want to play for Coach Bunch. They want to play at Webster. They want to play D3. How do they get your attention, Coach? How do they get you to look at them?
Two pieces of advice, and one of those is not an attention thing. I think no matter who you are, talk to every coach, because you never know how that's going to come back around to you. You think you're a Division II player, and you go to a Division II, and they redshirt you and you don't play. And you want, at some point, you go, I want to just play. Maybe you end up circling back around to that guy. And if you told him, no, coach, I'm not a D3 guy, I'm not interested in you, then, you may be going back to that guy at some point and saying, hey, coach, can I come play for you? And so don't ever dismiss anybody. Some of the best conversations I've ever had have been going to an AU tournament, and I don't know where kids are going. And I'm just there seeing as any kid that I can see. Most of them, it's not like a Division I coach that goes there to see one guy and then leaves. I'm going there just to see anybody that I can maybe see. I had a guy one time go, hey, Coach Bunch, I really appreciate it. Thanks, but I've already early signed with Indiana. He wasn't the most explosive athletically, but he was like 6'5". He could shoot. He could handle the ball. He kind of looks like a D3 guy. Let me call him and just see what he's got. He's Coach, I early signed with Indiana. And I'm like, I felt like an idiot, but he was as nice as he could be about it. He's coach. He asked me a little bit, where you guys at? And talked a little bit. I said, hey, good luck to you. And I was like, I told somebody the next day, I said, I wanted to just, if I could have recorded that call, I would have said, that's how you interact with a college basketball coach that's interested in you, whether you are or not.
That's right.
So listen to everybody, consider everybody, but then
call everybody back that calls you.
Call everybody back, respond immediately. And I get it. In this day and age, kids, because everybody's been raised on their phones, especially since COVID, it's like everybody got to the COVID society, the social media society, and texting and emailing and whatever. I say this all the time to recruits, and they still don't do it because I realize it's uncomfortable for them. It's uncomfortable for me as a 58-year-old. It's really uncomfortable for an 18-year-old. But just tell me you're not interested. Thank you, coach, but I'm looking for something else. Or thank you, coach, but I actually am looking at these two schools. I appreciate your interest. And in fact, I'm going to think more of you if you do that than if you just ghost me and contact you for a month before I just go, okay, he's not interested. I just did it the other day. I hadn't heard from a kid in a month, And I was writing him off, and he sent me a text, "Hey, coach." I was like, "Wait a minute, he's back in play." Because just respond quickly.
That's right.
And either way, yes or no, I think communication is key there. Just respond to coaches. But if you're interested, I think you have to do the work. I hear so many people say this: my high school coach didn't get me a scholarship, or my high school coach didn't help me get recruited. That may be true. That may not be true. Don't rely on your high school coach to get you recruited. Get out there, send videos, contact coaches, be proactive in your recruiting, because you don't know the number of times that I've just went. For example, I had a guy here graduated 2 years ago, Wynn Brown Jr. We called him JR. He was from Memphis. Sent me an email in June. "Coach, I'm just looking for a place to play. I'm a 5'9" point guard." The only reason I looked at it is because, being from Tennessee, I knew the high school that he played for, and they were really good. And I clicked on the link, and I was like, yeah, that kid's skilled. Now, he's small, but he's skilled. He came here, played as that 2020 team. I won 2 years in a row. We went 31-5 in the conference in 2019 and 2020. Well, in 2020, he was a freshman. He ended up starting and being the fifth man on that team and averaged 10 a game in conference as a freshman. The next
At 5'7".
at 5'7" and like 120 pounds. Now, the next 3 years, he was our best player. He ended up being the fifth all-time leading scorer in school history.
Amazing.
The only reason I ever looked at that dude is because he sent me an email, and I went, I know that school. Let me look and see. And there's times I don't, because you just get inundated with them. And
Right.
every coach is human. Nobody's going to check them all out. But I looked at that one email and got one of the best players I ever had in 23 years here. And so it's, you be proactive and send emails to places. I had a guy one time I heard, and he gave a good piece of advice. He said, send a couple of stretch contacts. If you think you're a Division II player, maybe send something out to a couple of Division I schools, lower level Division I schools that you might be a stretch that you could ever play there, but send a couple of emails to the D3 schools that you might be interested in, because you might not get what you think you're going to get, and you might need to go play there. And then send emails to the level that you think you're at. I think you have to be proactive in your recruiting, and don't just rely on your high school coach. Don't rely on your service or whatever. Those are all good things, and those are all good avenues, and those can all be very helpful. But don't rely on that. You take the initiative.
Be the owner, be the CEO of your recruitment, be the boss.
And the other thing I might say is be realistic. Be realistic. There are so many things out there where guys contact me, or I contact a guy and he's not, "Coach, I want a D1 or D." Or I have guys contact me and it's a 5'8" point guard. He goes, "Coach, I just want to go there to start with." Talk with your high school coach, talk with your AU coaches, whoever, and get a feel for where you could possibly end up. Maybe you catch lightning in a bottle and you get to where you think you want to get to, because guys do that. But take ownership in that.
Love it. Coach, we may have to do an annual Chris Bunch episode, because I feel like we talk and I'm like, oh my God, I promised you an hour and we're an hour and 40 in, and I feel like we could go another 2 hours.
It's all right.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please give my best to Christine. We miss you guys a ton.
I appreciate it.
If anybody out there is looking for advice on recruiting, Coach Bunch wrote the Chapter 8 Coach's Perspective in my book, Significant Recruiting, and it's fantastic. All these golden nuggets he's thrown at you today, what he wrote in the book is equally fantastic. And I'm so thankful that you did that for me. Brother, I love you. I'm so thankful to have you in my life. So thankful that these boys have you in their life, and whatever you need, you got me. Thank you for doing this.
Appreciate it, man. I love you too. I enjoy this. It's fun just to get and talk about basketball. I don't get enough opportunity to do this, so I appreciate it.
It's just gold. Good luck this season. Hope you get some rest this summer, and we'll look forward to the next conversation.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
What a great conversation with Coach Chris Bunch. His honesty, experience, and perspective are a gift to any family going through the recruiting journey, and a reminder that character, consistency, and communication still matter to great college coaches. If you found this episode helpful, take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another family or coach who's walking this same road. And remember, if you need help with your recruiting journey, I've got resources built just for you at coachmattrogers.com. You can pick up a copy of my book, Significant Recruiting, grab the Softball Recruits Journal, or check out the Significant Launchpad course designed to help families take control of the process. You can also schedule a free recruiting or coaching strategy session with me right on the site. I'd love to connect with you. Thanks again for listening. And as always, don't just chase success. Live, lead, and recruit with significance.